Hello, and thank you for joining me today on the Political Conversationalist. My name is Ben Phipps, and today we're going to discuss the viability of turning Puerto Rico into our 51st state in the Union. Puerto Rico is a beautiful place. Never personally been to it, but I know people who have, and I've seen many pictures of it. But despite the beauty of the land, the people, and the culture, it sits in a tenuous spot politically. Puerto Rico is a territory of the United States ever since 1898. Now, by being a territory, that means that the land is owned by the federal government, the same way that the land of North Carolina is owned by the federal government. However, because it is a territory and not a state, it does not enjoy any type of federal representation in Congress or Senate, nor can they vote in presidential races. People born in Puerto Rico are automatically granted U.S. citizenship. U.S. citizens can travel to and from Puerto Rico without a passport. Now, one would think, since it is so closely related to the 50 states, that it would be similar to living in the 50 states themselves. Well, it's not exactly the case. Puerto Rico, despite having 3.5 million people, which, by the way, is more than Hawaii, Rhode Island, and Vermont combined, is in much worse shape than the United States themselves. The median household income in Puerto Rico is $20,078, and the United States themselves is $60,336. In Puerto Rico, the poverty rate is 43.5%. In the United States themselves, it's 12.3%. The murder rate is approximately 20 per 100,000 population, compared to 3.7 per 100,000 population in the United States. In 2017, Hurricane Maria struck the island, killing 2,975 people. To make matters worse, the terrible infrastructure of the island means that even now, over a year later, the island still hasn't fully recovered. If it were a state, it would have less poverty. It would have less crime and fewer murders. It would have much better infrastructure, and therefore it would have much better response to natural disasters. In addition to that, Puerto Ricans also pay some federal taxes. Yet, as I mentioned earlier, they have no federal governmental representation in Congress or Senate, and in case you forgot, they can't even vote for president. I think Puerto Rico should become the 51st state. The infrastructure upgrade it would receive would make it an extremely profitable tourist destination. We could also levy normal taxes, federal taxes that is, against businesses there, as businesses there currently enjoy an extremely low tax rate. Now, even with those two ways I mentioned of making money, we probably wouldn't make money immediately by granting Puerto Rico statehood. But as far as I can tell, we've never made any money immediately by granting any territory statehood. As they always say, it takes money to make money. And just like all the other former territories that are now states, it would pay off in the long run. As it stands, Puerto Ricans are treated as second-rate citizens of the United States. Taxation without representation, that was a rallying cry of our forefathers when they seceded violently from Great Britain. Puerto Rico should have a referendum on statehood, an official referendum on statehood, an unequivocal referendum on statehood, unlike the votes they've had in the past. And if it passes, and if it's clear that all those who decided to vote, that a majority of those people would rather be the 51st state in the Union than continue to be a territory, then the federal government, the U.S. federal government, should abide by that. And Congress and Senate and the President should all vote to make Puerto Rico our 51st state. I think that's the more profitable way in the long run, and I think more importantly, that's the more fair way. We think of Puerto Rico and Puerto Ricans as a foreign country and as foreigners. That's not actually the case. You see, Puerto Rico is, to me, the same thing that California is. Even though it's not technically a state, those people are still Americans. They're still U.S. citizens. They still, by and large, speak English. And as far as I can tell, most of them are just like us. Unfortunately, however, they don't enjoy the same benefits we do. They don't enjoy the booming economy we do. They don't enjoy the healthcare we do. They don't enjoy the basic safety that we do. And apparently, as we see in the aftermath of this hurricane, they don't enjoy federal aid in the same way that we do. And I think that's ridiculously unfair and very discriminatory. And so for those reasons, I pose that we should make Puerto Rico the 51st state in the Union. Thanks for listening.